Last week, we talked to activist and cultural worker Maya Fino about how Western binary definitions of gender and gender roles are not only confining, but erase the historical truth that before Western imperialism, definitions of gender all over the world were much more fluid.
Maya's insights were so incredible, and we wanted to continue that conversation this week and talk more about what it means to quote-unquote transition as non-binary folks in this modern hellscape.
We are going to remain a refuge of sanity and a citadel of normalcy.
We have rejected woke ideology.
Policies that make kids pick pronouns.
They're using drag queens for recruiting, pump minors with puberty blockers.
We are going to have
we are not allowing gender we have eliminated our critical race theory in our women's schools. We have elevated the importance of family. These pronouns in the schools. Woke mind virus woke cut off some 15-year-olds private parts, not indoctrination. We fight the woke in the corporation. We should not have teaching our ideology. This state is where woke goes to die.
That's enough. Thank you. Okay, back to our gorgeous, peaceful show.
Am I even queer?
I think I want to take testosterone.
I mean, I'm wearing men's underwear right now.
Is that a boy? Is that a girl?
Man, woman, cisgender, transgender, like we're born into language.
Butch, femme, T-girl.
Decolonized.
Queer, trans, BIPOC.
Neurodivergent.
Cisgender, heteropatriarchal, capitalist, girl boss.
Queer femme, lipstick every day.
T for T, like fag boy relationship.
Butch.
Boyish, like sprightly.
The softer, more fey.
Oh, but you're so feminine. You're so feminine.
Attraction to a hot T-boy.
I used sexuality to try to understand my gender.
What does it look like for non-binary people to quote-unquote transition?
I was a boy. If I was looking down at the memory, I was a boy.
It's really difficult to look at gender identity head on.
Wait, I think I'm trans. My name's Jaylind. I also go by Jay, and I use they, them pronouns.
So I first found Jay on Instagram. They have this amazing fitness account where they post about the gender euphoria they feel through exercise and like a non-restrictive approach to health. They're also an incredible tattoo artist. Could you tell me how you got into tattooing? I'm really curious now, like what that journey was like for you.
Yeah, I was in college. I was in art school, and I don't know, it just kind of felt like a waste of time. Like, it was fun. It was fun, and I met some really awesome people that are honestly like my best friends still to this day. But it was just such a waste, and I don't know. I just dropped out, and I got my first tattoo, and I said to myself, I think I can do this. It's a way I can draw and then make money, so why not, you know?
Oh, hell yeah.
So that's how I got into it. I just got my first one, and then I dropped out of college, and
Wait, I love that.
yeah.
That's amazing. Thinking about art and also fitness, but I think like your approach to fitness does feel kind of like artistic. I don't know. I'm seeing how it's kind of all connected and like bound up in community. So that's really special.
Yeah, I really like making it just, I guess, more palatable for everybody, because I know it can be very exclusive and leave people out. And I just never wanted to leave people out, especially trans people, because
Right.
I don't know, as a trans person getting into fitness, I didn't feel seen at all. Everything you would see was just like it catered to a lot of whiteness, thinness, and I was just not seeing myself at all in that.
Right.
So I just really wanted to explore, like, okay, well, what else could we do, and how could we help everybody, no matter their size or like fitness level? And I want everyone to feel good too. You know, we can all move our bodies how we want and however we see fit and whatever feels comfortable to us.
Totally. When you hear the word masculinity, like what does it bring up for you? Like what does masculinity mean to you?
For me, it brings up a lot of what a lot of people project onto me when they first see me. And I felt like that ever since I was young, too. Growing up, my parents would call me a tomboy and stuff like that. So growing up, masculinity was projected onto me a lot. And it was just because of how I looked and how I appeared. So I just grew up very confused, with that term. Because I don't feel quote unquote masculine. I don't identify as
Mm.
mask, even though I look like this and I take testosterone and I have facial hair and I have top surgery. To me, it doesn't mean that I'm masculine or feminine or anything. So
Mm.
masculinity, I'll say a colonized view of masculinity. Like, oh, well, because you look like this, or because, you present
Mm.
like this, you're this way instead of that way. And I feel like when you think about the colonized view of masculinity, toxic masculinity, all of these things, you get all of these stereotypes that line up with that. And I just never fell into any of those stereotypes, projections at all. So it's a
Mm.
very weird relationship that I have with masculinity because I've had to unpack that because growing up, it was just projected on me. So I was like, am I masculine?
Mm.
But the thing was actually kind of looking within and asking myself, who am I outside of other people's gaze? How they see me? Who do I see myself as outside of everyone else's perception of me? So
Mm.
that's when things woke up for me. And I was like, actually, I'm not masculine at all. I'm just myself.
Mm.
Personally, I'm an agender person. I fluctuate between feminine, masculine. I'm not in one place ever. It's always changing, you know,
Totally.
and I just allow myself to do that freely, and it feels really good.
Hell yeah. I am so appreciative of you saying that and just like bringing up these ideas of coloniality and also kind of like a white colonial gaze, right? That wants to put us into these boxes.
Yeah.
You said there was a moment where I kind of like turned like inward and just like kind of thought of myself outside of other people's gaze. Could you talk a little bit more, maybe like about that moment, like how old you were and like maybe kind of leading up to that moment, like what brought you there and how did that happen for you?
So I'd say I was about 23 or 24, and it was right before I came out publicly as non binary. And I was dating a person at the time, and they were explaining to me, they were coming out to me and asking me, like, hey, I have these new pronouns. Can you use them? And when they were describing how they felt about their gender, I was just like, I literally feel the same way, And I was thinking, I'm like, man, all my friends are trans too. And then I was like, wait, I think I'm trans.
Not the giggle.
Yeah, so I just had that kind of aha moment.
Yeah.
And I just started exploring what it was. And I remember thinking too, like, I was interested in taking testosterone, but there was a whole thing where it was almost like kind of this unspoken rule, like only if you want to be a man, you take
Right.
testosterone. And I was just like, but I don't want to be a man. I just want to have facial hair and like, I don't
Mm.
know, a deeper voice, but I don't think that necessarily would make me a man. So I started talking to other people that either identified as women or people who didn't identify as trans men or male, anything like that, and people who were medically transitioning that also didn't identify as men. And I felt seen with them, especially when I would talk to them about, how they went about it. And they said, this just makes me feel comfortable. And I truly feel the same way. That it just makes me feel comfortable. I really had to be secure with myself first and foremost, because if I wasn't, it would just make the process a lot more grueling.
Totally.
So it was that. It was when I decided to medically transition, I really had to unpack, you know, what that would mean for me. And I started thinking about how other people would see me. And I started thinking about how people have always seen me, their perception of me, but who I actually am as a person. So yeah, it
Mm.
was around when I was like 23. I really started just jumping into the abyss of my own identity. And,
Totally.
I had the freedom to do that. So it was really freeing.
It's so hard because I think it's just viewed as like such a like big deal. And I think it's like the thing of like, no, you're going to become a man. Like you are going to take testosterone one day and you're going to have a 10-inch dick and like facial hair the next day. Like you're going to wake up and it's going to happen. I mean, I think like testosterone like is a very powerful hormone, but I just love what you describe of just, it just makes me feel comfortable. It doesn't have to be this like huge. I mean, I went to the doctor's office and like I appreciate them like informing me about everything, but it's like, do you want kids? Are you sure? Like you might not be able to have kids. And I'm talking about like microdosing tea. And they're like, well, like, I don't know. And I'm like, trans men literally get pregnant all the damn time.
All the time.
And so, yeah, I think it is kind of viewed as this thing that's like a huge leap. But I love kind of what you're talking about. Did you kind of get a lot of information about transitioning from the people around you? Is that where you think like you got kind of like did your research?
Yeah, lots of people that I trusted, people of color, and even my friends that were white and trans, they would even introduce me to their friends who were Black or other people of color that were medically transitioning as well, but didn't identify as a man. So it was
Right.
really awesome. I got really good support from friends. So it helped a lot. And I will say too, like even taking testosterone, there were moments where I would just be stoned and I was looking at myself and I was projecting onto myself. I'm like, I look like a man, holy shit. And I'm just like backing away from the mirror and I'm like, should I not be taking this? And then I'm like, whoa, there's no way to look like,
Exactly.
there's no way to be, you can only just be yourself and that be enough. So it was constant reminding myself too, and like really just checking in with myself when I was not feeling secure. Because, as you change, people start heeing you and assuming that, you're a man. I didn't like it because I was like, I'm not a man. Like,
Totally.
And I was just like, ew, why would you think I'm a man? Like having a full beard and like a deep voice and of course in the public eye and in the world outside, me and my partner say of course they're gonna view me as a man, but that doesn't take away who I am.
Totally. And your relationship to yourself. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, I want to even admit, like, I feel like I maybe even fell into that trap of like approaching you about masculinity where it's like, I wouldn't necessarily like move like with the same sureness of approaching like a trans woman, but it's like my like T-girl like ex, she like identifies like more as like a tomboy, So yeah, I don't know. I think even in queer spaces, we're all kind of still making these like assumptions, and I feel like I'm always trying to push myself to like break out of that. So So you were kind of talking about how when you were a kid and like your family viewed you as a quote unquote tomboy. Like, how has your family kind of held your transition and just like coming into your identity? Have they been like supportive? How's that been like for you?
At first, when I told them, it was funny. I just started taking testosterone, and then I told them once I got a date for my top surgery, and I was like, so, Mom, Dad, I'm gonna get my tits chopped off and I'm taking testosterone, so I'm gonna be looking different and sounding different. And they were just like, my Christian Black parents, they were like, oh my God. They were definitely thrown off at first, but it felt so good to just like tell them. I didn't even care how they reacted. I knew it was going to be some gut wrenching news,
Right.
And my mom, she's like, are you going to be able to have children? I'm like, I will still be able to if I want to, but I don't. So,
Exactly.
so just, get that out of your head right now. And my dad was just sitting like having one of those like brain farts, just trying to figure out what is going on.
Right.
But I told them my pronouns and they were really terrible at it at first. And sometimes they're still bad with my pronouns, but they're getting a little bit better. But it's honestly really awesome to see that they still love me, even though it was a hard pill to swallow when I first told them. I see them like, trying and,
Mm.
not letting their religion get in the middle of our relationship,
Right.
you know? It's not perfect by any means, but it could have gone terribly wrong. So I'm glad that it didn't.
It's kind of like bad kids, like the bar is below the floor. So like when anything
Yeah,
is okay, it's like, okay, thank God.
literally.
Like,
That's exactly what it is. I was like, well, I live on my own. I do everything on my own already, so I don't actually need any support.
right.
So I was like, I'm just telling y'all because I don't want y'all to be looking at me crazy when I come home with a mustache and no
Right.
tits.
Right. I'm somehow convinced that I'm just gonna like gaslight girl boss my parents, like just be like, oh, you have some facial hair. Like, no, I don't. Like what? Like what are
Like,
you
what you
talking
talking
about? Like I
about?
literally don't see like what I don't get it. I don't get what you're saying. So I
That's
love that you were
awesome.
able to have that.
Yeah, it was good. It was one of the most proud moments of my life, just not being afraid to
Hmm.
tell them because I was just so proud of myself and happy in myself. I was like, they could have any reaction, but I'm gonna get my tits cut off and have a mustache in 2 years. Like, I don't give a shit.
Yeah. Could you tell me about a recent gender euphoric moment you've had, if you've had one?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I was working out at my gym, and one of the guys that works out there that's like big as hell, he just comes up to me and he's like, dude, you're killing it. And I was just like, oh my God, like, thank you so much. I'm like, you're so huge. Like, that seriously means so much to me. But I like went home and I was just like, flexing in the mirror and I was like, damn, like I'm really doing this thing.
Hell yeah.
And that happened like a couple weeks ago. It was really awesome. I was super happy. And another moment I had too was I got this really pretty skirt from the thrift store. It's like very long, a long skirt,
Hmm.
and it's got florals all over it. And I was just like wearing it in my yard, tending to my chickens and just like twirling around. And I was like, ah, this
Yes.
feels good. I was like, this is great.
Hell yeah. You have chickens?
I do. I have three,
Oh my God. That's lovely.
a
That's
rooster
so
and two
sweet.
hens.
Oh my God. That's so fun. Kind of going back to like your relationship to like fitness. I think working out for like cis people is overwhelming. And then like with trans folks, you just have all of these other added layers of
Hmm.
things that I like barriers, I think, to access and to like information. Like, how did you
Yeah.
kind of just start collecting like this information on like fitness? Like, how did you do that?
I had a trainer, and it was before I started transitioning, and we were just doing trades. Like, I tattooed her, and she would train me, and it was awesome. It was really fun. So she showed me a lot, but it was really whenever I think it was 2020, I started taking nutrition to become a certified nutrition coach because I had the exercise part down, but I really wanted to know about food and like how that helps with exercise. So once I learned about food, that's really when things started changing, and I was learning how food is fueling my body, and I just stepped into a whole new world, and I was following like other trans fitness people and a lot of black trans fitness people as well that were talking about fitness in this decolonized way, which was what I was interested in because
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want to look at it from the way things work because I mean that never worked out for me and it doesn't really work out for other people either. So
Right.
once I started learning stuff, I was like, oh, I can help other people. I was like, this is great.
Mm.
I wish it was free. I wish it was stuff that we could just be able to learn freely.
Mm.
It sucks that you can't, and
I
I
know.
that's
Yeah.
why I try to put as much stuff as I can out there without overextending myself. But that's how I did it. I just got my little certificate and started following all of these really cool trainers that were focusing on different ways to do fitness without it being such a hassle and without it being fat phobic and without depriving people of the foods that they like to eat. Because that's what I used to think it was about, because that's all I saw. I was like, man, it kind of sucks, like,
Right.
but whenever you learn it for yourself and you see how other people are doing things as well, it just inspired me to want to do more for the community.
Mm. Yeah, it's so weird. It's like adulthood doesn't provide you with like a manual for how to really be in your body. And it's like we like all the things
Yeah.
that we're doing are constantly getting us like out of our body. And there's no like manual that's like when you're working a 9 to 5, how do you still find ways to like be with yourself and be in yourself and do things that feel good? And then you like, I feel
Absolutely.
like when you're feeling bad, you like turn to like the evil, usually like white centered colonial messaging of like, you just gotta go to the gym
Yeah,
all the
yeah. It's
time.
like I didn't sign up for that
I
shit.
don't want to do
I'm
this.
tired. I'm
Ex-
tired.
exactly. So, in your working out and like kind of like your fitness and nutrition, like obviously you're not trying to like achieve this like white colonial standard of whatever it means to be fit. So, like, what is it that kind of like keeps you going or like gets you like continues to like make you feel like excited? Like,
Honestly, listening to my body and what it needs for sure. That is really why I wanted to do it, because I just wanted to feel good in my body and I wanted to be in tune with my body and what it needs from me. And that changes all the time. So that's why I keep doing it, because it's always changing.
mm,
And working out really hard for like 6 weeks, after a while, you get tired. And it shows when you're in the gym and you're working out and you're not lifting as heavy and you're getting out of breath. And so I just listened to myself and I'm like, I think I'm tired. I think I'm just going to take the week off and just go on walks, eat a bunch of food, and
mm,
just rest. And it makes my body feel really good. So I think that's why I get into it, because I just really want to feel in tune and I want to feel one with my body. So I feel like when I pay attention to it and when I look within and see what my body's needing from me, it really makes me feel good. And I'm
mm.
just like thankful that I pay attention to it and I'm like giving it what it wants.
Yes.
It's really sweet. It's very sweet because I used to in the past, before getting into this kind of stuff, I worked a lot. I worked like 5 days a week, barely cooked, barely slept. I was drinking, partying all the time. And I was running away from working on myself. And so whenever I started looking within and whenever I started going to therapy and just getting all kinds of help, it just made me want to do more for myself. It was like,
Mm,
it was very addicting. I felt like I was really loving myself. So
mm.
that's why I do it.
That's beautiful. And I feel like that's so intertwined with like transness as well, which is, I feel like ultimately like it's taking the moment and like taking the moment of like stillness to like look within yourself and be like, okay, what do I actually really want?
Yeah.
I have a question for you.
Absolutely.
I love your relationship with your body or like learning more about nutrition. And I was curious if you have any like meditative or like spiritual practices that you do.
Yeah, I do practice hoodoo, and it's really awesome because I feel like it's really helped with my journey being trans too, because it's really helped me reconnect with my ancestors. So I usually like sit with them sometimes in the morning and I just talk to them and I ask them for guidance and protection and yoga too. I really like doing yoga and just stretching my body out. But usually in the mornings, I just try to do this little check in with myself and just see where I'm at emotionally. And if it's something deep that needs to be tended to, I'm like, okay, well, we can work on this a little later in the day, or let's just decide right now that we're not going to let this determine where my day's going to go. Just because I feel grumpy, I'm not going to let it make my day crappy. You know what I'm saying? So that's usually what I do. I just, check in with the ancestors, check in with myself, and stretch and go about my business.
That's so gentle. That feels very
Mhm.
reparenting to me.
Yeah.
Because I know I'm also on testosterone, but it feels like I'm going through another puberty, and I really feel like I'm my own parent to a teenage version of myself.
Yes, it does. It feels so weird, that second wave. It's a really weird thing where you have to just kind of constantly remind yourself, like, hey, you're doing good. Your body's just changing, and emotions and hormones, like, it's all right. So I'm glad that you do that too, and you kind of like reparent yourself, because that's exactly what it is.
Absolutely.
Definitely. Yeah, I think that's our hope also for the podcast, is like just to be another resource out there for trans or just anyone, queer people in general, to be easy on themselves.
Yes.
Like, yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, so something that I'm thinking about in both that conversation with Jay and then that conversation with Maya from last week is how with both of these interviews, I just assumed that these people, Maya and Jay, identified as either masc or femme. Like, and we did those interviews in different weeks, right? So literally at the top of both of those, I was like, oh yeah, surely you identify as femme, or like, surely as a masc person. And I feel like both times they corrected me with such like grace, like, which I really, really appreciate.
I don't identify as femme. I think that I have experienced Black girlhood. I'm aligned with Black girlhood. But I think if I were to like think about my gender in my head, it just feels kind of like the cosmos, like just fully unknowable, like even to myself. Deep expansiveness. I guess how I would or wish I could like really speak to my gender outside of the Western colonial constraints and binaries would probably be just like, I'm gender expansive. I can't really see myself as fully within the constraints of femme, masc, woman, man. And I don't really want to, because I think in so many ways, gender is inherently tied a lot to Western European colonialism, white supremacy, upholding and like meeting standards of womanhood or manhood that I don't want to and I don't feel beholden to.
You know, I feel like in the queer community, there's like this weird, there's this tendency, like, femme and masc can be these labels that feel very comforting to people. It's like a type of femininity that's like, it's like a queer femininity, right? And I know sometimes femme has felt very comforting to me as a label and identity, but I think we've gone from a place to being like, oh, great, this is comforting for me, and just like putting it on other people and just assuming. And I think what I really appreciate about both Jay and Maya are how they kind of just refuse to fit within that binary. Even though it's a fun queer binary, it's still just like a new binary that we've kind of imposed on ourselves, I feel like.
Totally. I mean, even Jay was saying, like, I take testosterone, I've gotten top surgery, these don't make me masc. And I do feel myself doing a lot of extra work for queer people that I talk to, where I'm still kind of like offering, like, yeah, same like what you just said. I think I'm offering up a new fun queer binary. And it's like, that doesn't exist. What are you talking about? Do you hear yourself? Like, yeah.
It's like you're offering up a gift they didn't ask for.
Exactly. You're overworking. You're working way too hard. I feel like I don't approach queerness with enough curiosity sometimes. I am just kind of like, I understand myself and I understand you, and it will maybe because as a queer person I get asked so many questions, so I almost want to make it like we're all on the same page, right? Like so many assumptions, and it's like, no, I'm not gonna register as a person being like they them is plural. Like I'm just gonna register as like another queerious, like queer person. Queerious?
Right. Aquarius person.
I'm simply queerious.
We all need to get a little more queerious these days. No, I think that's totally right. And I think what I'm walking away from this interview is I feel like when people who are marginalized find comfort in communities, there's a way that you can reinforce certain harms, if that makes sense. It's like, okay, like everybody and their mother's queer, like I feel like there's just so much more comfort being queer than there was like 30 years ago. But I think like the work is to keep questioning and to not get, I mean, I don't want to say like not get too comfortable, because obviously we all deserve to be comfortable and happy. But I think there's still this questioning that kind of needs to happen of like our own understanding of these things.
Less like ladies' nights. Yeah.
Or less, I mean, I feel like I had to do a lot of work to unlearn women and femmes, because the intention is there. You just mean feminine presenting people. But I feel like as like a umbrella, it just doesn't make sense, because like there are tons of gender variant people who are also impacted by systems of power that aren't women and femmes.
Femmes, it's like, I would not feel comfortable there. I'd be like,
no.
Oh, okay, so not for me. Yeah. You know what? This is almost making me think of like Maslow hierarchy of needs. I'm going to do like a comedy showcase over the summer that's like the Women of Boom Chicago, which is this old theater I used to perform at. And I messaged them, it was just like, oh yeah, this is kind of crazy, I don't idea as a woman. They're like, oh, we're so sorry, how should we change the language? And I'm like, sometimes you're starting from such a like insane place in the like rungs of like queer literacy, I guess, that it's just kind of any bump up. I'm like, I am actually really thankful for women and femmes, or women and non-binary people, GNC people. But then I'm like, then even more so, I love talking to these like futuristic minds like Maya and Jay, where it's like, oh, thank God we are like, there's still room to go up from here. There's more like freedom to be had. Gender Spiral is an original podcast from Audiation. This episode was mixed by Matt Noble. Music is composed by Chanel Critchlow. Art is by Joey Hahn with graphics by Honey Hodges. The executive producers are Ireland Meacham, myself, Ally Beardsley, my co-host Babette Thomas, who's also our story editor, and Sandy Smollins.
Huge thank you to our guest, Jaylind Hamilton. You'll find a link to check out their work online in the show notes. And if you like the show, please head over to patreon.com/genderspiralpodcast to support us and get access to fun stuff like our Discord server, bonus content, and complimentary merch. You might even find Ally's personal OnlyFans.
It's just pictures of my dog's paws. Everybody calm down. You can also check us out at genderspiralpod.com, where you can find a link to leave us a voicemail and ask us questions. Tell us who you want to hear from and what you want to hear about. And follow us on Instagram. It's at Gender Spiral. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and stay tuned. We're releasing a brand new episode every single week this summer.